Ryan Miley was a healthy 6'2", 18-year-old only child who was loved dearly by friends and family. In a 2015 article on the website put out by the organization Every Child by Two, Victims of Vaccine-Preventable Disease, his mother tells that one day she saw her son become very weak. And when she looked at him, she could see a rash on his stomach so severe that she could see blood vessels rupturing all over his body. After being rushed to the ER, he had a heart rate over 185 and began to vomit up blood. For a moment, his father had a chance to tell him that he loved him, to which Ryan replied, "I know," before his heart stopped. He died of meningococcemia, a bacterial infection caused by the same bacteria that causes many types of meningitis. If he had only received the meningitis vaccine beforehand, it could have saved his life. Today, I will be discussing the negative effects of people choosing against vaccination and why it should be stopped. This affects all of us in some way. Maybe your parents or guardians didn't want you to get vaccinated, and now as a legal adult, you're able to make that decision for yourself. Or maybe you have all the recommended vaccines, whether it be from living on campus, requirements for school, or just listening to your doctor. Then this still affects you, because you can choose whether to get boosters for certain vaccines, and you may face the choice of vaccinating your children now or in the future, if you have children. And even if you're up to date with all your vaccines, you still need to be concerned, because the fact that people are choosing against vaccination is affecting this and future generations in the advancement of eradicating diseases. I've done thorough research on this topic from scientific journals, periodicals, and credible websites. Today, I would like to inform you about the power of vaccines and the dangers of choosing against them, in hopes of persuading you all to take action against this anti-vaccination movement. The vaccine is a prominent device in modern medicine, but has a lot of controversy surrounding it. It is a very powerful tool that provides protection from an infection or disease, which is known as immunity. In 2014, the website for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, defines a vaccine specifically as a product that stimulates a person's immune system to produce immunity to a specific disease, protecting them from the disease. Vaccines are usually administered through needle injections, but can be administered by mouth or sprayed into the nose. Vaccines for many diseases are actually taken for granted today because a lot of these diseases we do not think of as a huge threat, even though they were a big threat only about less than a century ago. I'm talking about chickenpox, mumps, measles, the flu, and hepatitis A and B, which are all really under control now. If enough people can become immune, it creates what is known as herd immunity over time, and then eventually this can help a disease become eradicated or eliminated completely. An example is smallpox, which was one of the most devastating diseases in the world, but was declared eradicated in 1980 thanks to vaccines. Despite this, there are various arguments for why one might not want to get vaccinated, but in the end, they aren't acceptable excuses. One example of an argument is many people think that there's poison in them. Russell Saunders, a doctor, says in his 2014 article, The Beast, that to believe that vaccines are harmful is to believe that pretty much every healthcare provider in this country is not only secretly malevolent, but actually also really good at maintaining airtight adherence to a code of silence over a period of several decades. So in other words, it's really unrealistic to believe that every healthcare professional is keeping this big secret and is out to get everyone, when in reality, they're just trying to help you from getting sick. Another big argument about vaccines is that certain vaccines are linked to autism. And this stems from the famous Wakefield study in 1998 on 12 children that introduced the idea of the combined mumps, measles, and rubella vaccine causing autism. This article has an overwhelming amount of proof against it, and has not only been proven wrong, but also corrupt. As the research article titled Wakefield's article linking MMR vaccine and autism was fraudulent in the British Medical Journal in 2011 describes, the clear evidence of falsification of data should now close the door on this damaging vaccine scare. One last big argument against vaccines is that the diseases are gone already. And I did mention smallpox earlier, which is an exception because it only exists in labs, and the government is prepared with vaccines in case of an emergency outbreak. However, according to the Measles and Rubella Initiative website in 2015, rubella and measles are classified under diseases that have been regionally eliminated, or that regional elimination is underway. So this means that they're on their way to being eradicated, and so you still need to take those vaccines to help that final push to eliminate them. People are choosing not to vaccinate, which is promoting the spread of diseases instead of the eradication of them. Look at this diagram put out by the CDC in 2014. Here you can see the herd immunity that I was talking about earlier, where blue people are non-vaccinated, yellow are vaccinated, and red are infected. So when the more people are vaccinated, it creates this herd immunity and keeps the disease very contained. People are choosing not to vaccinate, which is promoting the spread of diseases instead of the eradication of them. Ryan Malash, an epidemiologist at the University of Michigan School of Public Health, said in a 2015 article titled "Many Americans Believe They Don't Need the Flu Vaccine" on NPR, that vaccine is really the best way to prevent those infections when it comes to large groups of people. According to the 2015 article Measles Cases and Outbreaks from the CDC, the measles outbreak is at a record high, as you can see from this map put out by the article by the CDC. Parents are not vaccinating their children, and so illness is keeping these diseases relevant when in reality we are medically advanced enough that these should not be a problem. So you can see the darkest blue represents 20 or more cases, which may not seem like a lot, but in other countries, diseases like polio, which causes the paralyzing of limbs, is still prominent, as shown in this picture put up by the nonprofit Kick Polio Out of Africa in 2010. We are privileged enough that we don't have to take the polio vaccine anymore, because it is not a problem in the U.S., even though it was a problem in the U.S. only about 60 years ago. Similar with measles and rubella, we're able to get rid of them, but because people have not taken advantage of this privilege to get vaccinated, they are still here when they do not have to be. Although this problem is a big one, there are a few simple steps that you can do to make a difference. My proposed solution is to do at least one of three things. First, get vaccinated yourself. You can find a trustworthy list of recommended vaccines for the Centers for Control and Disease Prevention website or at vaccines.gov. Second, vaccinate those within your care, or if you plan on having children, plan on vaccinating them. And finally, talk to people you know about vaccination. Maybe you have a relative who's expecting a child. Talk to them and make sure that that child receives the necessary vaccines. If you're at a loss of what to tell them, at least encourage them to do their own research, or at least refer to them to sites like these. By doing your part, you can really make a difference against the negative effects of anti-vaccinators. By taking the necessary actions, you are helping yourself and others. You will stay healthy, and you will also set the stage for future generations to stay healthy as well. Imagine a world where nobody has illnesses like these. You are also helping to contain diseases that scientists and researchers have worked so hard on helping contain and prevent. Eventually, you can help be a part of the generation that corrects this hiccup in medical advancement, and you may even eliminate illnesses like measles and rubella for good. Today, I talked to you about the controversy surrounding vaccines and why it is a better choice to choose vaccination. Getting vaccinated can help contain diseases and prevent them from spreading in the hopes of preventing them for good in the future. I am asking you to get vaccinated yourself, talk to people about vaccination, and if you have children or will have them in the future, make sure they get the required vaccines if they are able to. I leave you with a quote by journalist Jeff Lee Kluger of Time magazine. "Vaccines save lives. Fear endangers them." It's a simple message parents need to keep hearing. Thank you.